Hello, everybody. Doug and Aleya here with another session. And we thought that it might be interesting to talk about the way people talk and how they literally disempower themselves by the phraseology they use because they are so afraid of being rejected or offended that they that they use language that really disempowers them, and it becomes passive aggressive and people become resentful. And then we'll kind of explain what some other choices might be instead of using the kind of language that seems to be so prevalent today. And this is particularly good for people who have empathic sensitivity because, you know, the fear of rejection or the fear of people getting mad is significant and substantial because you just don't want to bear the brunt of people who are emotionally upset. Let us start with the idea that if we try to protect our own sensibilities and the sensibilities of others by using passive aggressive language or passive voice language, we are more often going to breed resentment and upset and anger than if we just be direct. And there are ways to be direct without being offensive. The challenge is generating the courage, because if we live in an emotionally unsafe world, then we're going to be fearful that if we really assert ourselves, we are going to get smashed down. And so that's what we have to strike. We have to strike that balance between managing our courage, being direct, being assertive, and not creating too much resentment or backlash, and avoiding the passive aggressive kind of mealy-mouthed, please everybody kind of statements. Let me start off with an example that just happened to me. Last night I was on a coaching call with I was a coachee, not a coach. And there were two guys, myself and one other guy, and 3 or 4 women. And basically the coach had a LinkedIn post up on the screen that one of the women had written. And she had a link and basically the post was designed to induce people to click on the link. Posts, if you're doing marketing posts, that's what you want people to do. And he went around the group on a Zoom call and asked people, what's the likelihood that you would click on that link? Now, this was a really lousy post. But the women all tried to be kind and nice. Well, there's about a 30 to 40% chance. They're all lying. None of them would have clicked on this link, but they're all, well, there's probably a 30 or 40% chance I would have clicked on this. You know, I might have considered it. They're trying to soften the blow. And then he gets to the guy, because he knows Brian knows me really well. He knows what I'm going to say. And he goes to the guy and says, well, there's probably a 10% chance that I would have gotten there. And then Brian goes to me, he says, all right, Doug, what do you think? And I said, there's no chance in hell I would have clicked on that. I'm not going to waste my time with this kind of stuff. Stunned silence. And you would think, well, that's really rude and arrogant and not very kind. But then Brian asked me, why is it that you said that? I said, because she has not created enough trust with me for me to invest my time. I'm not going to waste my time. She hasn't given me any reason to invest my time. And for her, the light bulb went on. Oh, I get it. No wonder nobody's clicking on my stuff. And if I had done that mealy-mouthed stuff that everybody else did, she would have never gotten the message and the light bulb wouldn't get on. And she thanked me profusely for being direct and honest because it really helped her grow. And so that's a great story of how people try to soften the blow. And when they soften the blow, they actually cause more harm than they help. So Aleya, got any examples that you can throw at me that we can take a look at?
So when we think about the way in which we communicate, we can tend to get passive aggressive and also commanding, demanding, and controlling without even realizing it, when you're in a situation where a need is getting, you have a fear of not having a particular need met. And the other day I was talking with a client, and there was a situation where there was somebody in her life that was doing something that was really distressing to her. And we were exploring ways that she could communicate with this person in her life and ways to start changing that behavior that she perceives is not healthy that this person is doing. And all of the pieces that we came up with as we reflected upon them had this passive aggressive or a commanding tone of, when you do that, I really wish you would do something else. I really wish you would put the phone away and pay attention to me. Or, well, I guess you're really busy and, your phone and your emails are like way more important than I am. So then that's in the passive aggressive. And so there's all of these emotions that come across when we're communicating, and when we're not conscious of it and we're not following the formula of how to have healthy conversation, healthy communication, we will naturally go to the passive aggressive, the commanding, or the shaming without even realizing it.
And why do we do that?
Because we are looking for our needs externally.
And what does that mean?
So, and with the piece around the dress, right? So we're going to kind of come back to that story with the dress of, I'm not going to tell my friend that she does not look good in that dress because I want my friend to value me, appreciate me, like me, connect with me, support me, not reject me. So I will respond in a way thinking that I'm being nice, thinking that I'm pleasing her, but I'm not being honest because I need her to value me, respect me, connect with me. I'm afraid that she's going to reject me, and I will do whatever I need to do, however I need to communicate to avoid the potential loss of one of those needs. But what happens is then we're not authentic in our relationships with people. They can feel how we're not being honest, we're not being open, we're not being truthful, and that erodes intimacy.
And what do you do about the fear that if you are direct with somebody, they might explode with anger at you?
You're still, again, looking for them to meet your needs. You're in communication with them, relationship in them with them. And it's all about you and what you need, as opposed to using the affect labeling, the validating, all of these other ways of communicating that, Doug, you can talk about in a minute, where it's all about them. And so we're taking that position of all about us, and we're shifting it to, I'm going to communicate with this person. It's going to be all about them, not my needs.
Right. I think also that when you have a fear that if you are honest and direct, that somebody's going to get really angry at you, you're not feeling emotionally safe.
Right.
And so you have a need for safety, and you're going to meet that need by deflecting any possibility of aggressive verbal aggression towards you by being mealy-mouthed. And the problem that I have with that is that you disempower yourself. And as you do this over a period of time, this disempowering attitude becomes habitual, and it breeds resentment, and it stops you from growing as a human being, because you have to be able to set boundaries and affirm who you are. And obviously you want to be able to do it in ways that don't precipitate crises. On the other hand, being direct is oftentimes much more powerful and helpful in a relationship than dancing around people or walking on glass. The other thing I'll say is that if you have to walk on eggshells around people, those are not people you want to be around. And we've talked before about the fact that when you're for example, let's say you have an extended family situation where you've got in-laws or cousins or whoever, and there's always somebody in the family who's angry and always grouchy and always barking, and you have to walk around eggshells around this person so you don't get insulted. Why are you doing that? Why are you hanging around? Why play into that person's touchiness, their irritability? Just confront it. How do we correct this problem? How do we, that's okay. That's our puppy in the background, brand new puppy. So you'll hear it barking, all good. How do we deal with the eggshell problem? How do we deal with a friend who's asking for affirmation and validation, and you're afraid that if you give your honest opinion, your friend will feel hurt? How do you stop doing the little white lies that are there to sort of add social grease to relationships, but if overdone, become passive aggressive and breed resentment and break relationships?
Well, and also, how do you do it in a way that's kind? How can you be honest and direct in a kind way, as opposed to slamming or shaming, because that just erodes and impacts, negatively relationship.
So we have some tools that we can give you. I'll start with a couple that I really like. So let's go back to the example of the dress. So Aleya, supposing you have a dress and you want me to comment on it.
Doug, how do I look in this brand new dress that was super expensive?
There are two ways I'm going to handle this. I'll give you way number one. So Aleya, I think the color of that dress just shows off your beautiful dark turquoise eyes in an amazing way. Just totally gorgeous. But you might consider whether or not that cut really is as flattering to you as you would like it to be. So what I did there is the first thing I said was what I really liked about it. Hopefully there's something I can find out, even if
like the fabric's really lovely, right? The texture.
There's always something you can find that's positive.
Something.
One very specific thing you really like. And then rather than criticize, make a suggestion about how things might be improved. So rather than saying that cut on you just looks awful, that dress looks horrible on you, I would say, oh man, that color is really beautiful. It really pulls out the color of your eyes. And you might consider whether or not that cut or whatever it is, or that design is really the most flattering design for you. So you offer a suggestion for improvement. And that improvement, it will come across much more positively than not. Let's do another one. Aleya, this time I want you to put me on the spot about your weight.
So Doug, I haven't really exercised very much in the last few weeks, and I've just been feeling really snacky, and I've just been eating a lot. Do I look fat?
Oh, Lovey, you're really anxious about how you're looking and feeling, and you're really concerned that you might have put on some weight, and it's making you anxious and a little concerned, and you don't feel loved, and you don't feel lovable right now, and you feel a little abandoned, and that's kind of scary for you, and it makes you sad.
Yeah.
So what I did there was, when she sets the trap, do I look fat? Which nobody can answer with the right answer, because if you say yes, you are doomed.
And you're shaming them.
And you're shaming them. And if you say no, they already know they're fat. So now you're lying, and they feel patronized and manipulated. So there's no good answer to those kinds of questions. But what you can do is think about the underlying emotion that caused that person to ask that question in the first place. And rather than respond to the question, respond to the underlying emotion. So in this case, Aleya's underlying emotion is anxiety. She's worried about her body appearance. She's worried about whether or not she's attractive. She's anxious about it. She's sad and concerned. And fundamentally, in this moment, she's not feeling loved or lovable and feels abandoned. And that makes her really sad. So all I have to do is label those emotions. Oh, Lovey, you're really anxious. You're really concerned. You don't know, you really have no clue about how you look, and you feel unloved and unlovable and abandoned. And that makes you feel really sad right now. And you just want to be loved.
Absolutely.
Let me hug you.
Thank you. But I'm just thinking about all of the different scenarios, because there's a lot of people out there that have an agenda, right? So we have an agenda and we want our partner or someone in our life to do a certain thing. And so if you affect label of, oh, you're feeling unloved and you're feeling a lot of anxiety because you don't feel like you're attractive and you're afraid that you're going to get, rejected and be alone, right? Kind of go to the core. Then there can be a tendency for the person that's affect labeling that we really want to stay away from, of not going to the affect labeling, trying to motivate the person to change their behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So we can unconsciously start to say, and you really are frustrated that you don't have a level of willpower, because you really want to have a certain level of willpower so that you're not snacking and eating at night. And then you could lose weight because there's a part of you that really wants to lose weight. Oh, now we're in the dark, treacherous waters of conscious manipulation and taking power away and shaming. And that is going to push the partner away and actually create rebellion for the partner, because then the partner is going to feel controlled and totally disempowered.
Which is why when you affect label, you should rarely attribute cause to the emotion.
Say that again. Rarely.
Affect label, you should only on the rarest occasions attribute cause to the emotion, why they're feeling what they're feeling. I do it, but look, I've been doing this for a long time and I'm really good at it. For most people who are just starting out, you're going to get the emotions right, but you're going to get the cause of the emotion wrong. So don't add the cause, just affect label. Let me give you an example. So Aleya, give me a statement.
Let's just go with the weight again, right? Like, honey, am I fat?
All right. If I go just with the emotion, it's going to be something, oh, Aleya, you're really anxious. You're really concerned. And you're unhappy.
Yeah.
And you don't feel loved right now. You don't feel lovable. You feel abandoned. You're really sad.
Yeah.
And all you want right now is just some love.
Yeah.
Okay. Notice that I did not attribute cause. The other way I could do it is, oh, Aleya, you're really anxious. And you're really anxious about your weight because you've been snacking and overeating all week long. And you put on 50 pounds. And you're really worried about the fact that you look obese and it's taking you out. That's sad. See the difference?
Yeah, that doesn't work so well.
Of course not.
I feel totally shamed.
I over-exaggerated for a reason. But I made my point.
Yeah.
That even a subtle hint of causation.
Right. You saying like, oh, because you've been snacking, that immediately makes me, oh, he's judging my behavior.
Or you've had one vodka too many or whatever. It doesn't matter. You're judging the behavior. So keep the causation out and just stick with the label. So here are the two tools that I have for you. One, as I said before, it's a coaching technique I use. Tell them what's really good. Be very specific. This is what I really like. And then offer a suggestion for improvement. If you don't want to do that, then the alternative is to just, when they ask you a question that's totally loaded, for which there's no good answer, go to their emotions. What are the emotions underlying the question? And just label the emotions without cause, and they will calm down, and you'll be fine. Aleya, do you have any?
Yeah. And this is a technique that you can slowly start using with people who have unhealthy behavior, right? The addictive behaviors, we were talking about that earlier, you and I, Doug, of how do you handle somebody who has an addictive behavior, who's drinking too much, eating too much, on mobile devices too much, shopping too much, spending too much money, exercising too much, working too much. There's this deep emotional need that's not getting met, and they're going for that dopamine release of that unhealthy addictive behavior to soothe themselves. And because to approach and to have a relationship and communication and connection, it's not safe. And so they'll go to behavior that feels much safer, even though it's unhealthy.
Right. So the trick to dealing with addictive behavior I mean, now chemical addiction, drug addiction is a lot more complicated. But if you're dealing with other kinds of addictive behavior, like text or phone addiction is really common. Why do people go to their phones?
Soothing connection.
A really nice dinner and you sit at the restaurant, you're going to spend $300 on a beautiful meal and you're all sitting there looking at your phones. Why are you there? Because it's not emotionally in it. You're not emotionally intimate. There's no emotional safety. And that's the secret. You have to create emotional safety. You get people off their phones, you get them out of their addictions by creating a place where they are emotionally safe. And if you consistently build that emotional safety over a period of months, the addictions will slowly go away. Because people would rather feel emotionally safe than be lonely and sucked into their whatever their addiction is. And that's the secret. And you're going to ask, how do I create emotional safety? Well, I'll tell you what, we'll make that the subject of another call. How about that?